Hello, everybody. Katie and Aaron back.
Hey.
I'm just going to make you my co-host.
Cool, I'm down.
You're going to be here all the time.
Sweet.
We're back. Aaron was with us last time educating us about compost.
Yes, beautiful compost.
And now we have him here to talk indoor plants. Ooh, potting mixes. Do you have an easy do-it-yourself recipe for your perfect potting mix?
I do, yes.
I want it.
Super simple. So I guess more of like a basic recipe. I can
Yes.
give kind of an advanced one and a basic one, but
Ooh,
basic
yeah, do
one,
both.
okay, cool. So basic would be just like regular potting soil. And then, so 40% potting soil, 60% perlite for anything like succulents or cacti that want more aeration. Even some tropicals like aroids are gonna prefer that. And then for more moisture-loving plants like, you know, alocasias, pothos, things like that, you do the opposite. So a 60% potting mix and a 40% perlite.
Ooh, that's easy. So it's
That's pretty
always a
basic.
60-40 split and you just switch it.
Yeah, that's what I like to do.
Yep.
That's super simple. The more advanced one would be, you know, if you have succulents and cacti, you would do a mix of potting soil. Let's say your 40% mix of potting soil. Then you would do some coarse sand. You would do perlite. You would do bark. All of that kind of combined together for your 60% aeration.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of give like a lot more variety to the amount of porosity of the soil, the amount of drainage.
More chunky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that'd be kind of more an advanced mix to get a few more materials. And then for, like that'll work for aroids and stuff like that too on the opposite end of the spectrum. So you have a little bit of a potting mix, a little bit more potting mix, or 60% still.
Yep.
And then for your 40% aeration, you'd start mixing in your bark, like horticultural charcoal. You can even add like 10% compost to both of those mixes, kind of just like replace 10% of the potting mix amount with compost. I would highly recommend that because that's going to add your biology and some available nutrients to the soil as well.
Ooh,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
What mix would you recommend for people who have their indoor herb gardens growing?
Just like a regular potting mix. Like
Okay.
any kind of, like I would, yeah, usually for herbs, you can buy like herb specific mixes from ProMix. They have like an organic vegetable and herb one. So something like that, because herbs love to be moist a lot of the time with some aeration. All plants need aeration, but herbs, vegetables, things like that love lots of moisture retention.
Okay, I think you've answered my next question then. I was going to ask whether different herbs need different soil. So, for example, we know lavender likes it drier. Basil will like something that's a little more moist. I guess my question then is, and I've answered it, do all herbs have individual needs in this regard?
Not that I know of too much. I would say like you have to have the proper balance of aeration and soil retention for any herbs. It can't just be like straight compost or straight potting mix with nothing else. But yeah, not necessarily. It kind of comes down to like your watering frequency. Ideally, like all plants like that would be consistently moist and not wet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Moving on to propagation.
cool.
It's very propagation is very exciting for our community members. I
Yes.
remember being a beginner and learning how to propagate and just thinking I was Mother Nature incarnate
Yeah.
and I could do anything.
We kind of are. Like it's opened up
It
a lot
kind
of
of
avenues
is.
to, yeah.
It is exciting. And there's more and more home propagation kits that people are buying to facilitate, you know, having pretty propagation stations versus old cups and
Yeah,
mason jars
takeout
and whatever
containers.
I use. Takeout containers. I
Yeah.
haven't used those. Is it better to propagate plants in soil or water?
Depends on the plant. So lots of plants will do just fine propagated in water, no problem. Some plants you will have to propagate in soil or some kind of potting mix. Usually sphagnum peat moss is what a lot of people are using now because it contains lots of aeration, it holds onto moisture really well. So I know like with alocasias, like you propagate from these little kind of corns that come off the root base. So for those, like you'd want to propagate them in sphagnum or some kind of soil. The benefits of propagating in soil, although I find it trickier, are that you're already putting it in its final location. It can be very difficult to switch
Transition.
a water prop over to soil. Yeah, because you need lots of aeration. So yeah, it's water props are easier because you just kind of set it and forget it. Soil is a little trickier because it has to have the proper conditions for it to root properly and not rot. But yeah, the benefit is that it's in its final home and it's already adjusted to that growing medium.
Yeah, there's no shock.
Yeah.
There's no shock when putting it back into the soil.
Yeah, and roots will grow differently in water versus soil as well.
Okay.
So they will grow less feeders in water than they will in soil. So that's why it can be hard for them to adapt as well.
Right. Because they're not spread outwards as much.
Yeah.
Okay. Repotting.
Mm-hmm.
Next topic.
Yes.
How often should you repot houseplants? I know the answer to this one.
Yeah. What do you think?
No, you're the expert.
I would say
When you're root bound and your roots are coming out.
yes. Yeah, definitely once you're root bound, definitely once you kind of start seeing some roots growing out of the bottom. But even if you see roots growing out of the bottom, like take it out of the pot and see, because it's most likely not root bound a lot of the time. They're just kind of poking out.
Yeah,
And they'll
randoms.
naturally air prune. So once roots hit air, they will just die back and then start circling around the base of the pot or around. So it depends what you're growing in. Like with any type of terracotta, you can usually leave plants in there a lot longer because the material does breathe, so it will naturally air prune as well. But yeah, for houseplants, like I don't like repotting super often because it's a lot easier to maintain your watering in a smaller pot. A lot of them won't have huge root masses. Things like birds of paradise, they need a lot more room for their roots to grow, so you won't have to repot as often with something like that if you just put it in something bigger. But
Whereas sometimes if you plant up too much, if you plant it in something too big, then your plant doesn't like it so much.
Yes.
It's too roomy in there.
yeah, just too much room for overwatering when you have too much soil.
Oh, is that why?
That's why, yeah. So basically because like your root mass is a lot smaller than the actual size of the growing medium. So if you don't have proper aeration in that growing medium, you'll overwater super easy because it's not absorbing all the moisture in it. So that's why smaller pots are always easier to make sure you're not overwatering. You can just water them a little bit more often. If your plant's like stagnant in growth and not growing at all and it's in a pretty small pot, then yeah, definitely up pot.
some more
But
room.
yeah, only up pot like 1 inch to 2 inches at
Yeah.
most. Like don't put it in something huge.
Right.
But yeah, it's for houseplants, they grow relatively slowly, so you don't have to up pot too often. Like whereas like cannabis or fruits and vegetables, like you have to like keep frequently up potting because they just grow so quickly.
When you're up potting, can you reuse the old soil from the
Yep.
original container?
Yeah, I like to. It's easier to repot that way and it reduces stress,
Yeah.
like transplant stress, if you don't remove the soil from it. The nice thing too is if you leave it in the soil ball that it's already in, you can just like fill your new pot up with soil, press your existing pot into it,
Ta-da!
take your soil out, plop it in, kind of fill it in, and makes
Done.
it much easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned it, but indoor plants suffer. We have indoor overwatering problems a lot
yeah.
more than outdoors. How do you help overwatered plants?
So what you'd have to do is basically take it out of the soil. So like completely remove the soil off of it.
Dry the
Either,
soil.
yeah, either I would like drying the soil can take a while, so just mix it with dry soil. So just take like a 50-50 mix it all together so it's just like moist and not sopping wet. Then you can either kind of use hydrogen peroxide to kill anything that's in there, because when you overwater it will build up harmful bacteria that produce alcohols.
So what's our ratio of hydrogen peroxide we want to use to water mix?
It is,
We can
I
pause and
believe
you can look.
2%. I think it is for just like your regular hydrogen peroxide that you buy from a drugstore or something like that. So just a 2% mixture with water is more than enough. And then you want to follow up with like either a little bit of compost or, you know, even like bios. We recommend people, if they've overwatered and they kind of use hydrogen peroxide, like add bios in, because it's going to replace the biology again. And
Right,
kind
because
of,
the hydrogen peroxide is going to blow out
it's
a
going to
whole
wipe
bunch
everything.
of stuff.
Yep.
And you're adding,
Yeah, you need to add the life back in to basically kind of help that plant start thriving again and heal the roots. So that would be my recommendation. If your plant is really struggling, just like do hydrogen peroxide soak, like obviously the 2% mixture on your roots directly, mix up your new soil, add in your microbial content again, you're good to go.
and by adding in microbial content, you can add in bios
Yes. Yeah.
fertilizer.
Yeah,
Give
absolutely.
your plug. This is
Yeah.
perfect for your plug.
If you overwater your plants, hydrogen peroxide it, add some bios in there to get the microbes back in and start feeding your plants right away and fix those roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there a fix for root rot?
Yes, there is. That would pretty much be it. Like hydrogen peroxide is going to fix root rot. It's going to help fix it depending on how far progressed it is.
Trimming the roots back?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, trimming any like kind of like
Mushy.
mushy soft roots. Yeah, just right back to its base. That's kind of the only way, and then just kind of hoping that it comes back. Plant it into something like much smaller so that you can really control the like drying out and watering it, and just kind of get that root mass built back up again.
Perfect. Let's move on to salts.
Cool.
How do you prevent salt buildup in your soil?
It's very hard unless you're using reverse osmosis water or even distilled water, I believe
Yeah.
too. You'll avoid the salt buildup. If you're using tap water,
It's going to happen.
it's going to happen, yeah, no matter what.
And so how do we fix it? When we do know that when we recognize we have salt buildup, what do we do?
Yeah, so actually our yucca extract that we make is amazing for desalinating soils because one big thing with synthetic fertilizers is they're mostly salt-based, so they will build up salts as well on your roots. So yucca is an amazing product to remove salts and wash them away from your roots and the soil itself. So that's usually what I recommend. That's what I've had the best luck with.
So yucca just diluted and sprayed onto the soil, or
Water it thoroughly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I use it like every time I water just to prevent salt buildup over time anyway, and it keeps your
Okay.
soil really nice and hydrated too. So like with peat moss, if it dries out too much, it becomes hydrophobic. So by using a wetting agent or a surfactant is what it's called. That's what the yucca extract is. It just penetrates the very small pores of peat moss and it can rehydrate it pretty effectively. So it's kind of a bonus
Yucca.
for that. Yep.
any alternatives to yucca? I know yucca is hard for some people to get in some regions.
For sure.
What else could they use?
Natural soap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can use just like Dr. Bronner's. That might be hard for some people to get as well. But yeah, any like natural soap. Go to your
Castile
pet
soap.
store. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. What do you do if you've applied too much fertilizer? Whoever asked this question, yes, I have done this multiple times, so thank you for asking.
Yeah, and a lot of people have. Like that's why so many people are scared of fertilizers, which is why like I always tell them like you can't burn your plants with bios, which is great, and people feel a sense of comfort from that. It's tricky. Like just you kind of have to hope and pray that the plants are going to recover, because all you can do at that point is just kind of keep watering, flush your soil.
Flushing it out, yep.
Is going to be the biggest thing. Like run a pile of water through your growing medium, and that'll just flush all of that liquid fertilizer out. It'll flush it off the roots, and that's kind of all you can do.
Other than maybe using bios from the beginning.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just use bios from the beginning. You'll never burn your plants.
Perfect. We've talked about bananas before.
Yep.
We have another steadfast supporter of banana tea.
Okay.
So not the actual banana peels. I know we've covered that, you and I. Banana tea, does that actually work?
Like with hot water, do you think?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think it
that's
would be
it. Okay.
hot water. It would be, I would assume, a soak, like
Okay.
a tea soak.
Yep. I don't think it would work. Like I think same thing. You would dissolve some of the starches off of the banana peels. That could feed the microbes, but if anything, you're going to degrade the nutrient quality of that because heat degrades nutrient quality.
The rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. And like most fertilizers, synthetics especially, are made using the process of heat, so it does degrade them. So yeah, I would. It's not going to do anything.
Okay, so we tried again. No to the bananas still.
Yeah, you can do it, but like if you want to just do a banana tea, like put it in a container of water with your banana peels, put them in there, let it sit for 3 months.
A really long time.
Yeah, 3 months minimum. And then that will be just a disgusting, stinky liquid that will be an actual fertilizer for your plants.
There you go.
Yeah,
If you want bananas,
it's got to
it's gotta be
digest.
stinky.
Yeah,
And there are better alternatives, which is what we're
There
kind
are.
of concluding.
yeah.
Okay. Should you add crushed eggshells? See, we're getting into home remedies again.
Yeah.
Bananas.
It's okay though. I'm glad that we're getting into them.
We have
'cause-
a result on the bananas. How about eggshells?
Yeah, eggshells are great. They just take time to decompose, like same as a banana, right? Like
3 to 4 months, like that long?
Like, yeah, like in a sealed, like anaerobic fermentation, like 3 to 4 months, if you just like throw it on top of your soil, it's going to take a year to decompose. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think they're just going to throw these things on their soil and it's going to feed the plant, but it takes a long time to decompose and become actually available nutrition for the plant. So yeah, eggshells are great. Highly recommend them. They're going to benefit your soil with calcium for sure. So it's great for the plant, and the microbes in the soil are going to decompose it, and that'll feed them and help them thrive. But
So this is a long-term play, not a short
yes,
burst.
yeah, if you wanted a short burst, that's where you would do that
Liquid
calcium
fertilizer.
phosphorus. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you basically like bake your eggshells until they get like brown, and then mix it with vinegar, let it do its bubbly thing, and then that is now like a water soluble source of calcium and phosphorus that you can use.
Okay. So eggshells are better than the bananas.
Yeah, bananas are great. They got lots of nutrients in them, but they just have to be properly decomposed before they become nutrients.
And I'm going to ask you, so within our community, lots of our members have pets. No, they have pests too, but they have pets. I know you have cats.
Yes.
How do you keep cats,
Yeah.
out of your houseplants?
How
do you keep your cats out of your houseplants?
We
And you're going to
can't.
say something like, we train them and they don't go there.
I wish I could train our cats, but our one cat, Ozzy's great. He's never messed around with them. The new kitten that we got, Arlo, he likes to poop in plants. So he'll just like dig our plants like crazy. He'll poop in them, and we can't do anything about it. I don't know. We put tinfoil all over our plants and he just jumps in, doesn't care. I tried cayenne pepper and he just
I was going to say
jumped in and
Tabasco.
he didn't care.
He loves it.
Some pets might, like, it just doesn't work on him. I don't
He
know
likes
why.
the spicy.
Yeah, so it's we have to use like a water bottle to squirt him, which
Oh.
like I've heard it's not a great way to discipline your cat, but it's just like there's literally nothing else that we can do at this point to get him to stop.
There
Just
could
like
be worse
jumping
things.
in
There's
plants.
those citronella sprays, timed triggered
Oh, yeah?
citronella sprays. So if you're just doing water, I think
Yeah.
you're probably,
Okay, cool.
that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Feel
So, yeah.
good about that one.
That's what we have to do. Tinfoil works for the most part, I've heard. They'll just kind of like, once they touch it or jump on it, they just
Yeah.
won't come back to that plant.
See, for dogs, it's easier because you can just put plants up higher
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yep.
but cats go high.
Yes, they do. It's
Just
a tough
live with
one.
it.
Yeah, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Either put your plants up high where they can't get to them. Try tinfoil. It might work for some animals. Obviously, some it just doesn't. But
Not Arlo.
not Arlo. Yeah, he's a little maniac.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of indoor planting questions answered. So everybody, we're ready for winter and houseplants.
Yes.
Thank you,
Housemate.
Aaron.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
See you guys.
Bye.